Welcome to Chaplain Moments Doctor's Call. Yes, doctors. That means we're going to the doctor because Jesus said he came for those who are sick. I don't know about you, but I'm sick because I'm still wrapped up in this body. And I need Jesus every day. This is a one time a week devotional to get you started in your week or any other time that you join us in the week. I also want to remind you that there is a Bible study. It's an hour long usually. That's broadcast on Wednesdays at 9, and you can pick it up anytime that it's convenient for you. We're studying the book of Exodus. We've just started. We're only in I think we're in chapter 2. So join us for that study. You can pick it up from the beginning and watch it. We're going to be in Exodus for a while. I can guarantee you that. But hey, you've actually joined us today for the devotional. And we've been looking at different, it's not really different seeds. It's the different soils that we're looking at. The seed stays the same. The seed is the gospel of Jesus Christ. The gospel never changes. You know, culture changes, but the gospel doesn't. And we have to be understanding to make the necessary changes that the gospel is relevant. Well, Jesus gives us a story here in Matthew 13 about sowing the seed and the different soils. The first soil we saw was along the beaten path, that the soil doesn't have a chance to root. The birds come, they eat it, and they take it away. That is those who Satan doesn't allow the seed to take fruit. They're the unbelievers. Their hearts are rock hard. The second soil that we looked at last week was soil that was rocky, doesn't have a lot of depth. That the gospel came, it was received with joy, it sprang up for a brief time, but then when the troubles of life happened, they lost it. This week, we're looking at the soil that's in Matthew 13, verse 7, and then we'll look at its meaning in verse 22. Hear now what it says. Other seeds fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked them. Verse 22. As for that which sown among thorns, this is the one who hears the word, but the cares of the world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and it proves unfaithful. This is also, it's obvious that the seed has rooted and it has sprang up. And it indicates over time the troubles of life, the decisions we make, the troubles we get into drown out the word of God. It actually chokes off the word of God. Again, I believe these are believers who grew in the Lord, but then life's troubles suffocated them. I like to refer to it often as that we hear all the different voices in the world, and there's only one voice of Christ, but the voices of the world, our ears get attuned to that, and we lose out listening to the voice of Jesus. In some ways, this is no different. The soil we looked at last week, that's on rocky soil. Only an indication is that this one lasts a little bit longer than the rocky soil seed. Because in the rocky soil, the indication is it didn't have any root and it sprung up in the heat of the day, just took it out. Where this indication, it actually takes root. But the troubles of life. Man, can you relate to that one? This is why I believe these are Christians, he's explaining, because there's different times in my own life, in your own life, and some of the best people in life, that if you pause it, you could see the weeds strangling out the gospel of Jesus Christ in us. I think even Billy Graham would agree to that. There's times that he struggled. I know I'm reading a book right now about Martin Luther, and he would agree with the same thing. In fact, Martin Luther used to go to confession so much that it drove the confessor nuts, because Martin Luther was so determined to confess all of his sin that at one time he was in the confessional for 6 hours. Here was the thing with Martin Luther. That even didn't satisfy his soul. He needed something more. He needed Jesus. As life's troubles, our own sins, other people, other voices, maybe even an addiction or two, maybe even just the wealth of this world. I've often said the problem with Christianity and Christians is not our horrible sin. It's our great comfort. Is your great comfort drowned out the voice of Jesus? Has it stifled your growth? Has it strangled you? Well, you can still return to the Lord. You can call upon the name of the Lord and he'll hear you. He says in scriptures in Exodus that he hears the cry of the suffering. And if you're suffering from either being the heat of the day or the weeds of life are just choking you out, turn to the Lord. He is the one that's faithful and just, and he will answer your prayers. Get into the Word. Go to him in prayer. Next week, we're going to look at the final ground, the fertile ground, and what happens when seed lands on fertile ground. Hey, see you next week. Thanks for joining us.